Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're jumping straight into the incredible and honestly kind of controversial technology hidden deep inside the 2026 FIFA World Cup ball. It's officially called the Adidas Tri-Onda, which translates to three waves, a nod to the host nations of the US, Mexico, and Canada. But this ball is making waves for an entirely different reason. We are looking at a piece of equipment that is literally challenging our basic definition of what a soccer ball actually is.
To really set the stage here, there's a fantastic quote from the channel Macrolens that hits the nail on the head. They noted, "A soccer ball worked perfectly for 100 years. No firmware, no battery." And, they're absolutely right. Traditionally, a soccer ball is the perfect analog object. It has zero dependencies. You can leave it sitting in a garage for a decade, pump it up, and it works perfectly. It doesn't crash, and you definitely don't have to wait for a software update before taking a penalty kick. It's just a sphere with air on the inside and skin on the outside. Well, the Tri-Onda completely flips that script. Get this, before anyone can even step onto the pitch with the 2026 match ball, it literally has to sit on a wireless induction pad and charge, just like your smartphone. There's a little blinking light that lets you know it's juicing up, ensuring its battery can last a full 6-hour match. That's enough capacity to cover regular time, extra time, and the tension of sudden death penalties. Because if that battery dies mid-match, the flow of data completely stops. Which leads us to a pretty obvious question. Why mess with a perfect sphere? You really have to wonder why on earth anyone would introduce a point of failure, like a rechargeable battery, into an object that hasn't needed one for over a century of professional play. What could possibly justify taking the most beautifully simple object in all of sports and giving it a digital heartbeat? The answer boils down to 3 letters: IMU, or Inertial Measurement Unit. It's the exact same family of sensor that's inside your smartphone right now, the little chip that knows when you tilt your screen. Adidas teamed up with a Munich-based tech firm called Kinexon to plant this tiny few-gram sensor deep inside the Tri-Onda, and it is incredibly powerful. It measures acceleration, rotation, and movement in 3 dimensions, capturing the immense physical forces. We're talking a staggering 300 Gs of acceleration that happen when a pro athlete smashes the ball. But the real magic here is the sheer volume of data it handles. The key number to remember is 500. This little chip doesn't just passively sit there for the ride. It is actively recording and transmitting data 500 times every single second. It acts as a continuous, high-speed stream of real-time telemetry talking directly to the stadium's network. To put that 500 Hz rate into perspective, it means the ball is capturing every single impact, vibration, or change in its position every 2 milliseconds. 2 milliseconds! Because it's pulsing that fast, the ball actually generates more telemetry data during a single match than most early smart cars logged in a full day. It creates this wildly granular digital picture of the ball's behavior, identifying the exact fraction of a millisecond the ball is kicked. And naturally, pushing that much data out constantly is exactly why it needs that charging pad we talked about. But here is the catch. Shoving a physical computer chip and a battery into a football creates a massive engineering headache. How do you balance a lopsided ball? A soccer ball needs to fly perfectly true, right? Especially at the World Cup level where players are bending it with the Magnus effect. Anytime you add hardware, you're naturally messing with the weight distribution and the center of gravity. Now, to be fair, this isn't the very first connected ball. The 2022 Al Rifla ball in Qatar had a sensor too, but in 2022 they suspended the chip dead center inside the bladder using a really complex suspension system. For the 2026 Tri-Onda, they completely ripped up the playbook. They took the IMU chip and side-mounted it directly inside one of the ball's 4 thermally bonded polyurethane panels. They did this to improve overall performance, but obviously, shifting weight from the dead center to the outer edge creates a very serious wobble risk. So how did they solve it? Well, it's pretty wild. First, you mount the sensor into that one side panel. That immediately shifts the center of gravity, which is a big problem. To stop the ball from flying crooked, Adidas literally had to glue physical counterweights to the other 3 panels of the ball just to cancel out the weight of the computer chip. It is a brilliant but undeniably complex fix for a problem they created themselves. They basically had to weigh down a perfect sphere just to make the tech invisible to the player's feet. Okay, so why go through all these crazy engineering hoops? Why deal with chargers, side-mounted chips, and counterweights? It all comes down to solving one of the most agonizing parts of modern football, the brutal wait times for VAR offside checks. The whole goal here is to turn the ball into the ultimate arbiter of truth. Think of it as a snickometer for soccer, kind of like the tech they use in cricket to detect faint edges. See, FIFA's semi-automated offside technology already utilizes 16 incredible cameras mounted up in the stadium roof, and they're amazing. They track up to 29 different points on every single player's body
50 times a second. They know exactly where the player's limbs are at any given moment. But cameras have a blind spot. They really struggle to capture the exact millisecond the boot connects with the ball. And since offside rules say the line is drawn at the exact moment of the pass, that timing is absolutely crucial. That's where the Trionda's 500 Hz sensor steps in. The cameras watch the bodies, but the ball provides the exact timing, completely filling in that missing puzzle piece.
So when a player touches the ball, and I mean whether it's an absolute rocket of a kick or just the faintest little graze off a knee or a shoulder, the internal IMU feels it instantly. The system then spits out an audiovisual spike graphic straight to the VAR officials, proving exactly when contact was made. We actually saw this tech shine during a past World Cup match where Alexander Isak had this incredibly faint flick against Tunisia. The sensor caught it, adjusted the timeline of the pass, and successfully overturned an offside call to allow a goal. And it's so smart that because it relies on physical force, it ignores non-impacts. So if the ball just brushes a player's hair without changing momentum, no spike.
And here is the ultimate payoff for all of this staggering engineering time. By automatically feeding that precise 2-millisecond timestamp straight into the camera system, the computers can instantly draw those virtual offside lines. It cuts those horrible, momentum-killing 70-second VAR reviews down to just 20 or 25 seconds. It gets the game moving again faster, and with a level of objective, mathematical accuracy that human eyes just can't match.
So it leaves us at this really fascinating crossroads in sports tech. On one hand, we now have perfectly accurate offside calls, completely objective data, and much faster game flow. But it comes at the cost of turning the simplest piece of sporting equipment in the world into a digital gadget that requires a charging pad and physical counterweights just to fly straight. It definitely leaves you pondering. With the Trionda, is this exactly the evolution football needed to perfect the rules, or have we simply over-engineered an absolute classic? Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.